Hi, welcome back if you've been here before. My name's Nicole. Normally I like to give like an official guide to books and the adult content that's in them. And what I'll do is I'll track the numbers and the official like page numbers and things and like events that happen that you might want to know about before you dive in. But I realized that there are some popular books that I've read that I don't necessarily want to read again, as sad as that sounds. And so I can't give you an official one because I don't want to reread it. But I figured you might still appreciate an unofficial guide. So I'm going to give you an unofficial guide today to Jade City because I wish I would have had this when I was looking into reading it. Okay, this is a different day and a different Nicole. Sorry, but I felt like I had to add this. If you are thinking of picking up Jade City and then, the future books as well, obviously I feel like this book will be a pretty good template for how the rest of the series is going to go. The only thing I think that will pick up in this series is the violence. I think we're going to see a lot more violence in the following books. I'm not really interested in reading them. I might, but as of right now, there are other things I'd rather be reading. So anyways, if you're wanting to pick this up, but you are concerned about the adult content, I really think that my prediction is everything is going to stay pretty much the same except for the violence. I think that we're going to see a lot more violence. I mean, the next book is called Jade War. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm going to go over some of the other things really quick because it'll take less time than the sexual nudity and sexual content. When it comes to violence, I would say it's moderate. Maybe it has some explicit moments. I don't recall there being anything that really stood out to me as like, oh, but there very well could be. Similarly, for frightening or intense, I mean, I think that there's a little bit of, there are some intense scenes. They talk, Jade is very much almost like substance abuse. It's almost like a drug to people. So if you have issues with that sort of thing, then, be aware that that's in there. And then also for frightening or intense, we're dealing with gangsters. So you're going to get a lot of, you're going to get a lot of weird things that are specifically like loyalty to the gang and like, how do you demonstrate your loyalty and what do you do? And like, if you do something really wrong and offend them and you apologize, like the apologies can sometimes, it's not writing I'm sorry in a letter. It's like someone cutting off their ear and giving it to another person as a present. So that's a thing. For language or profanity, I'm gonna say it was moderate. I don't recall I've breezed through the book really quick before I made this video, and the language is pretty mild, or not mild, moderate. And, I thought I remembered there being more language, but no, I would say for the most part, it's no worse than what you'd see in a PG-13 movie. There might be an F-bomb or two, but I couldn't find it. And if you can't find it, like just skimming through, then you get an idea for, okay, it's not too prevalent. There might have been a moment. There is one character who is closeted, and I can't remember if they just had concerns about people treating them differently or saying mean things to them, or if there actually were some mean things said to them. I want to say that it was the former, that it was just their concerns. So just be aware that might be something that pops up in this book. but I don't think it was too bad. For violence and gore, I mean, you get fight scenes, you get people brawling in the streets, you get people killing each other with their bare hands. So I'm going to cautiously say explicit, but not explicit in a way where anything stood out to me as like, ew, gross. That was really intense. So explicit, but probably bordering on moderate. For nudity and sexual content, so this is a hot take, but I felt like there was so much more sex in this book than there needed to be. Like, when those scenes would pop up, it kind of felt like they were out of place. I didn't understand fully why they were included. Maybe it was just to be like, oh, like these gangsters they're the whole package. They're incredible. They're amazing fighters, and they're really, you know, I don't know, wealthy, I guess, too. The character that we see the most sex with is Hilo, easy. And, you know, the author really kind of goes out of her way to paint him as a, like, just an amazing lover. Like, he's so giving, he's so caring, he's so, like, he wants to make sure his partner has the best time. And the thing is, like, I get that, but Hilo doesn't listen to anyone. That is one of his character traits. And I have a hard time buying that someone who can't listen is a good lover. It just doesn't usually happen. The best lovers are listeners, whether that be body language or your actual words or whatever. So that was just kind of like a funny thing that I took issue with.
Okay, so second thoughts, Nicole, coming at you, because I realized there were a couple things I meant to say that I didn't get around to. I have this funny conspiracy theory, right, that helps me make sense of why Hilo might be a good lover, right? And here it is. Maybe homegirl is just playing him. She's like, honey, you are my Apollo rocket of love. And he's like, yeah, I am. And he digs it and he likes it. And then she collects her check and she's like, sucker. Which, hey, you do you. I mean, if he's really a 50-cent firecracker, but you're telling him he's a rocket and he's happy with that, cool. But no, I mean, I'm just joking. But it just felt really weird in the book and really, I don't know, I just didn't believe it. I didn't buy it. So then every time those scenes came up, I was like, here we go again. So, and I don't want to come across as too negative on this book. I really don't. But one criticism I have that helps me also make sense of why there was so much sex in this book that just felt out of place. I think what it might have been is the author trying to convey the depth of the connection between Hilo and his girlfriend. Because you really don't see very much of her in this book. You don't see very much of them together because, you know, it's not a romance. So I feel like sometimes authors use sex as like a cheap way to show connection. And I mean, I get it. I understand. And I don't mean cheap in an insulting way, although that definitely sounds insulting as I think about it. But it's just, I don't know, a lot of authors rely on it. It's kind of a crutch. It's easier to be like, oh, and then they were doing it instead of showing actual vulnerability, actual connection, showing why these characters fit together, you know? So that was just another second thought that I had that I was like, I probably should include.
So you saw a lot of this stuff, that a lot of the page numbers and all that, so you've got that if you need it. I am also going to say that there, like, pedophilia warning, there is a moment where we're very clearly told, like, this person is a pedophile, and it's gross, it's icky. I didn't like, it felt really weird and gross to me to have to, like, have the victim's vulnerability described to us. Like, I get it, you know, it's adult content, it's an adult book, but at the same time, I just don't like it. It borders on that. Are you capitalizing on someone else's trauma? You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not making any sense, but Overall, I felt like the sexual content, it really didn't fit into this book for me. It felt like, you know, we'd be going along into the story and then we'd like pull the brakes and be like, all right, now we're gonna go have sex. And I was just like, all right, cool. I really wish that I liked this book better. I've always been super fascinated and interested in Eastern Asian culture. And, so when this came out, I was like, this is for me. This is absolutely for me. I'm gonna love it. Like, I want more diversity in my characters. I want more diversity in my reading. And I didn't gel with it. I didn't connect with it very well. The characters, the setting, it just all wasn't my vibe, but maybe it'll be yours. So just go into it being armed with knowing about the adult content, knowing about anything that might be triggering to you or concerning to you. Yeah. I hope you enjoy this book more than I did. I always hope that people enjoy books. Always, even if I don't like them. But anyway, whatever you're picking up, happy reading.